Hello, my name is Lynn Vanderkerko. I have chosen England as my country. I have chosen England because ever since I was a child, I had followed the events of the royal family, forever living my childhood princess fantasy with a grandmother that highly encouraged my interest. The United Kingdom includes England and is ruled overall by a royal, and has been for centuries. It is currently under the rule of Queen Elizabeth, who has been in power since February 6, 1952, a reign that has never been seen. Over her time, she has ruled 31 countries and currently reigns over 16. When Queen Elizabeth either steps down or dies, there are no elections. The next step would be the next royal in line. That would either be her son, Prince Charles, if he is well enough, or her grandson, Prince William, who has been prepped since he was a child. England has a judicial system quite similar to our own here in the United States, mainly because we had adopted the English system after the Revolutionary War. Those similarities would include the English common law, the Constitution, and a Bill of Rights. To say the least, that sounds like everything that we founded our country on. England's constitution is not written and is formed of acts of parliament, court judgments, and conventions. Their Magna Carta takes a place within it. It also contains statute law, common law, parliament, conventions, and workings of authority. Similar to ours, it is in regards to an individual, the state, and the three branches of power. The Magna Carta as pictured has been repealed since 1828 and is known as the most medieval statute during the medieval period. It promised the protection of church rights, protection for the barons from illegal imprisonment, access to swift justice, and limitations on federal payments to the crown to be implemented by 25 barons. In the Magna Carta, 63 numbered clauses were included. This is what became the 13 colonies' inspiration to the Bill of Rights, protecting personal liberties and our American Constitution. Not to be confused with the English Constitution, our Constitution contains what we refer to as the Amendment. Of course, what England's judges are most known for is their traditional practices in wearing wigs. They have judicial independence with life tenure, which means they serve for life. This allows them to decide cases and make rulings according to the rule of law and judicial discretion, even if unpopular or opposed by others in power. Unlike the US, they are each referred to differently based on level in the courts. Courts separated by 6, sometimes even 7 groups. They're referred to as Lord of Justice, Lady of Justice, Your Great Honor, Your Honor, and Chief. Like the United States, we use common law just as they do. They use common law for their civil matters, and then they use their higher crown courts for criminal matters, of which the judge has full discretion over anything that is heard. As pictured is a chart that describes the tier of courts within England. As similar to the United States, each one goes from a lower court to a higher court, starting from your county and magistrates all the way up to your Supreme Court and your crown. Each one is represented by a different type of judge. If there aren't enough jurors on the panel, then any person in the vicinity of the court can be summoned to make that number, which is called paying a talesman. Like the United States, peremptory challenges are only allowed in some jurisdictions, but has been in abolition since 1988. We practice them regularly. England has what is known as the Crown Prosecution Service. It is responsible for the preparation and presentation of criminal prosecutions. They examine police evidence to decide to proceed with charges, but wasn't established until 1985. Just like our prosecutors, they too have total immunity in prosecution, but instead is called sovereign or crown immunity. Their jurors are selected by magistrates. In comparison to ours, it is almost identical. The accused has the right to a trial with a jury. The number of jurors can range from 7, 8, 11, and 12, depending on which tier the court is in, either on common law side or the crown court side. The young woman pictured is Christy Chambers. She is a YouTube celebrity who spent 4 years in court for an act called revenge pornography that was against her from a past boyfriend. He sued him civilly for harassment, breach of confidence, and misuse of private information. This came after 2 years of their breakup. In 2015 is when this case had set a legal precedent, saying that it was criminally illegal to post private sexual images online without consent. After the decision had been made in her favor, she made a statement outside of the courthouse saying, "For anyone who has been living in fear of revenge porn used against you, there has never been a better time to come forward." Your rights as the accused is just as similar as it is in the United States. You have the right to free legal advice, medical help, to notify someone that you're there, to see the code of practice, which are the rules of the police, and a written notice of your rights. We have a little bit of that little bit more. These are almost identical. You have the right to remain silent during questioning, when you have the right to remain silent here during the whole entire time, and the right to a jury if one is granted upon request by a magistrate. If you are a youth, a guardian must always be present until trial where your information is. Just as a regular civilian, prisoners have their own rights as well. They have the right to life, the right to prohibition on torture, the right to a fair trial, freedom from slavery, protection from retrospective laws. These protections are particularly important for prisoners who are in the state's custody and therefore especially vulnerable. As you can see, the United States and England have many more similarities than they do differences, because we have based our foundation off of their common law. They will continue to grow into their monarchy and us into our democracy. It's no wonder why we are able to become allies.